Hello everyone, this is Voltage Development here, and welcome back to another Unity tutorial. Now, last time I showed you how to do player movement, and now it's time to try and show you how to do mouse movement. Now, I know that we already did sort of mouse stuff with the FPS controller back in the mouse cursor lock tutorial, but since we're not using a first-person controller and we're technically making our own first-person controller, let's try and do the mouse movement. So, at the moment, we've made sure that our player is able to move. So here you go, we're able to actually move our player, which is absolutely amazing. Really love, being able to move your player. Now, the reason why we cannot actually go through the reason why we can't actually okay, yeah, the reason why we can't actually collide with these objects is because our player that we created has a box collider. Wait, where? Okay, what about the other? Okay, for some reason they don't have a box collider. Well, no, they do have a box collider though. I am so confused. Anyway, sorry, completely distracted then. So what we're gonna do now is, because we have a camera right here, in fact, the main camera which I just created recently, we are going to actually make that a child of the player. So how we're going to do that is by simply dragging the camera on top of the player, and there we go. It is now a child of the player. Now, I'm not sure if you noticed, but let's just take this out, actually. Notice the position of the actual camera. Just take into note about the different positions here. Now, if we put the camera back onto player, the position changes because we are a child of the player. It's changed our relative position of our camera inside of this world. So, if we actually right click on transform and then reset, our camera actually gets placed into our cube. Let's just actually go back to the player and then let's reset its transform, and let's just put it over here. Now, let's just put the camera on top now. There we go. Actually, let's bring the cube up. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go inside of our game currently. So currently we're inside of the game. Now, if we press forward, we go forward. If we press back, we go backward. And D, A goes left and right. But of course, we can't look around at all. So, what we're going to do is we're going to make a brand new C# script. Let's call this mouse, not movement. Just imagine that. Movement. So classic. Anyway, mouse movement, and here we go. Now, as per usual, before we go into our C# script, we are going to add the mouse movement C# script to the camera. Do not add it to the player. Add it to the camera, because this is this is focused on the camera and not on the player. So, let's add it to the camera, and as you can see, it's down here. Now let's open up the script. And here we are inside of the script. So as usual, let's get rid of this and this. Now, same as player movement, I've actually got a reference to a script that I've already made. And it looks like I don't actually need the void start. Now, I know that you guys would probably like to actually have a look at the script I already made. But technically, you're going to be having a look at the script I already made inside of this script, because I'm technically just going to be copying it over and explaining it through on how I know this stuff. So, the first thing that we are going to put in is going to be a public float, and this is going to be the mouse sensitivity or mouse speed, whatever you like to call it. You know what, let's just call it mouse speed for now. And we're going to put that to about 5F. Now remember, F means float, and because we're doing it under a float variable, we have to give it a float number like that. So the next one we're going to make is a public transform. Come on, transform, and let's just call it player, because we are making sure that we take the rotation of the player as we are rotating our camera, because we don't want to just rotate our camera, we want to rotate both the camera and the player, because if we just rotate the camera and go forward, it will look like we're going left. So I will show you what I mean hopefully later. So the next one we're going to make is just a regular float, and this one is going to be called rotate X. Where's the rotation X? Yes, actually, sorry, rotation X. And let's just give this a value of 0, it looks like. And is that it? No, that's not it. Sorry. Let's give it 2 more floats. So float, and this is going to be called mouse X. And just leave it at that. And now another float, and let's call it mouse Y. And that is done of our declaring variables here. So now in the update, this is where it gets a little bit confusing. Probably. So, because we have declared our variables mouse X and mouse Y of type float, we can now use them here. So, mouse X is equal to input, god damn it, input.get axes, and now inside of the brackets we're going to do mouse X. Don't do horizontal or vertical, do mouse X. Now, we're not just done here yet. We need to make sure that we times this by the mouse speed. And now, let's do basically the same thing to mouse Y. Is equal to input.getAxes mouse Y, and then times by mouse speed. Now, other developers out there, they would technically put a time.delta time for these mouse X and mouse Y, but you don't really need to do that, because when we're dealing with the input axes of mouse X and mouse Y, they've already got a sort of frame rate dependent value on them. It's very, very hard to explain, but you just know that you don't really need time or delta time. You can add it if you'd like. You don't need it though. So let's move on now, and let's just do rotation X minus equals mouse Y. Wait, is it mouse Y? Yeah, it is mouse Y. I will explain that soon. Don't you worry. And now, let's also do rotation X. No, is it rotation X? Yeah, it looks like rotation X. Yeah, rotation X equals math F dot clamp, and then rotation X comma minus 90 comma 90. Right, I know that I'm going a little bit ahead and I'm not actually explaining stuff. Just bear with me, everyone. I'm as I said, I'm just copying down what I put down in my other script. So just bear with me. So now what we need to do is we need to do a transform dot, is that local, yes, okay, local rotation, there we go. And we also need to do, oh yes, we need to do equals, and then Quaternion.Euler, and then what's next? Aha, rotation x, and then 0f dot comma 0f. So that's done for that part. And now, aha, player dot rotate. Is that correct? Seems like it. And then brackets vector 3 dot up times mouse x. Okay, so that is now done. Now I'm going to try and explain it. So, first of all, rotation x minus equals mouse y, that one's tricky to explain, but I'm going to try my best. So, since we've just saved this, gonna bloody compile it now. So basically what I've done is, with the rotation x minus equals mouse y, let's just take this camera for example, yeah. Over on the y, let's just decrease that. The y is going left and right, so if I just undo that, but if we actually move the x-axis on the rotation, that's going up and that's going down. The reason why it's rotating around the x is because I'm not entirely sure why. I'm so sorry about that, everyone. I'm not entirely sure why. It's all like 3D Unity stuff, and I've only dealt with 2D stuff, so I'm still learning. But just understand that the rotation x variable that we created is reflecting the rotation x of this camera, and the rotation x is minusing the value of mouse y. So yeah, just try and understand that. Now, what does mathf.clamp mean? Well then, everyone, what it means is when you're making your camera look up and down, your camera will continuously look up and down forever and ever and ever, but if you put a clamp on it, it will not go beyond or below minus 90 or 90. Like, it will stay between that clamp. Clamp just basically means like between. You cannot go above or below. And since we have made the rotation x clamped, it means that the x rotation of the camera cannot go above 90. So, of course, it can go above 90 here because we're in the editor, but when we're actually in the game, it cannot go above 90. So, now, what the transform.local rotation is, it's taking the transform of the camera, and it's taken the local rotation, so the rotation here, and it's taking a quaternion. Now, to be fair, I don't really understand perfectly what a quaternion is, but just remember this. Quaternions are used to deal with rotations in Unity. And make sure that you also use a Euler, because, okay, it says right here, returns a rotation that rotates Z degrees around the Z axis, X degrees around the X axis, and Y degrees around the Y axis. So if any of you understood that, good. Because I'm still trying to. And now with the player.rotate, this is just making sure that the player, player.rotate. I think that's what that is doing, is making the player rotate along the X, but technically it should be rotating along the Y. I think I might be getting that wrong. I have no idea, but since we have put the mouse movement on our camera, oh yeah, we've got this empty slot right here because we need to put the player inside so that the variable can access the player's transform. So now let's go inside of Unity. So now, as you can see, we're inside of the game. Now if we look, we can actually look around our mouse. Now it can be a little bit jittery sometimes. Maybe the time.delta time is needed. I might actually add that on at the end, but I didn't think it would be needed, but it looks like it might be needed. Now, if we look down, as you can see at the top right, it says 90, and I'm literally looking down even more. It will not go past 90. But if we look up, it will not go past 90 either. We cannot look up anymore. We can only look between minus 90 and 90. And now if we move, we can go forward and backward. But if we look to the right, we are still going forward and backward, but not in this direction. So, to change that and to fix that, first of all, let's just, on the mouse X, let's just put on times time dot delta time, because that might actually help, you know. There we go. That might actually help. Now, with player movement, as I said in the last video, we put this here, which does help your player move, but it does not help when you're moving your player with camera movement. So, in order to fix that, let's just remove this, and instead of having that new vector 3 in there, what we are going to do is we're going to put in transform dot right times move x, and then plus transform dot forward times move z. Now save that, and now let's get back into the game. Okay guys, so now we're back inside of the game. So, as you can see, our mouse movement is a lot smoother than before because we're using time.delta time, but it's very, very slow because we've actually, we've gave it a value that's actually pretty small. So let me just take care of that, because we've put the mouse movement speed to about 5. Let's put that to about maybe 20 or something. So now, as you can see, it's still a bit slow, but we can still move around a lot. But if we go forward, we can go forward, yeah. But if we look to the right, we can now go forward as well. So it will literally go in the same direction as our mouse is looking in that direction. So that is player movement and also mouse speed. Now I do need to actually, let's put this to maybe 100, see if that will help. Okay guys, so the mouse speed is actually improved a lot. Now the reason why it's now improved is because down here, I've got the camera selected, and down here in our mouse movement script, I've put the mouse speed to 100, but because I've made the public float, because I made the float variable public, for some reason it won't actually keep this value. It will only keep the value inside of there for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. So let's just take that away, and let's put that to, let's just keep it as 100, and that is how you do mouse movement. I'm not going to go into the game anymore and test out a mouse movement because that will take ages, but that is how you do mouse movement, everyone, and that's how you do player movement too. I know it's very, very confusing, but this is basically the script that I have done, that I was referencing to. So now you have seen my script. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do in the next tutorial, but we're going to do something. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope this all helped you out in your fantastic Unity game project thingies. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, everybody.